Hello everybody, welcome once again back to the channel, and we are once again in the car for the first time in the new year, and the first time since like December, I think.
Yeah.
Movies just have not been interesting us in the theaters lately. We took a break with the holidays and everything. Not a lot of great movies were coming out. So we're back, but it is once again one of those things where we're only going to be doing these for like movies that we actually go out and see and care enough to talk about. So anyway, welcome to 2025. The first film that we watched in 2025 was none other than the movie Wolfman.
Movie. It does move.
It does. It is a moving picture. There are people on the screen. They say things. So it's a talkie. There's some music. That's cinematic. So I guess it's cinema.
Oh boy.
If that doesn't give you an impression of how I think about the movie anyway.
Hey, Lisa Frankenstein did it right. Why can't anybody else do it right?
Lisa Frankenstein was fun. It was weird, but it was fun.
That was a good twist. Here we go. This is gonna be awful already. Like we're already. Here's a better movie than this one. Go
We're
watch
already
that.
diverting. I got a better movie for you. 1941's The Wolfman.
Yes. Lon Chaney is a better Wolfman for sure.
100%. Anyway,
1945's the Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. That's a better
43. I think that's 43 or 44.
That's a better Wolfman film.
That's a better Wolfman film. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give my score for it. After watching the movie, I was like, oh, it's like a 3. It's not good. I didn't enjoy it, but it wasn't that bad. But the longer I stew on it, it's a 1. It's a 1 because it's not Wolfman. It literally should have been called something like the Native American name, the thing that they used to try to like the little thin thread that they connected it to Wolfman. It should have just been called that. That would have been a way more interesting movie already, because you're not sitting there going, oh, where's the... I can't wait for the werewolf to show up.
The name does distract actually quite a bit from the film.
How about you, DJ? What do you think about it? Scale 1 to 10.
I'll give it a 5.
5?
Mm-hmm.
You insult me, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right, why do you give it a 5? What's actually causing that to be a 5?
Because the film itself is it's a decent horror. Like the suspense is good. Like it does what this type of film should do. The problem is it's misnamed and it doesn't match the lore that it's attached to.
Yeah.
So like it's a solid horror film that doesn't match its source material, and it makes a lot of weird gaffes. There's a lot of continuity errors and just issues that don't make any sense. This is in the vein of like early like slasher films, like the Friday the 13th and stuff, that would have like weird things where like he's like hacking up a kid and then suddenly he's 20,000 feet across the way from where he should be killing another kid. Like how did you do? No, well, it's like this is different continuity errors, but it's stuff like that where it's like it's unbelievable. Yeah. Like you shouldn't be here to attack this person. You should still be over there. Or how did you get into that thing? Or how did they do this? Or why does that exist? Like I'll get into a little bit later, but there's just a lot of like disconnects that don't make sense. That takes it out. There's a solid moment pretty much from the beginning of the film up until the point where like it starts to break apart, where like the film thought it was going to go somewhere and it was getting like intense, and there was a high amount of suspense, and then like the last 15 minutes of the film just... This is another film we watched where the ending could have made a big difference, but the name does too.
I think the name takes it for me, just because, you know, we've seen the classic movies, and the other thing too is just I talked to you about this before, and I think I've talked about this on the channel. When it comes to like classic monsters, werewolves are one of my favorite monsters. I think that they're very fascinating, and there's just not a good, solid by itself werewolf movie. And
Cocaine Werewolf.
God. You didn't even see that one.
Nope, I
Do
didn't.
not invoke its name.
I didn't, but
That's not even a werewolf. It's a cocaine Sasquatch thing.
you had to watch it, so it was your problem.
Oh my gosh, that was awful. Part of the reason we watched it is because it said cocaine werewolf. Anyway, I give it a 1 just because it's like the redeeming parts about this movie is that there's some good music moments. Some of the shots are interesting, but some of the shots really don't make sense. Like they do some sets that just don't really make sense. And there's also a couple of moments where they make weird decisions. All of the characters are very odd. There's not really great character development.
No,
there's not good relationship development.
That's a problem.
They're very disjointed and disconnected. There's a lot of like unhealthy things going on in their little inner dynamics. So
which is
his
interesting,
yeah.
And then they don't do anything with it.
Well, it's interesting because it's so disjointed, but then it's just like after like literally like he starts getting sick, and all of that didn't matter anyway. Anything that they started to set up, they didn't actually do anything with.
Yes.
So there's a lot of these.
All the setup gets ignored.
Yeah, all the setup gets ignored. There's a lot of things where it's like they could have done something with it. And a lot of the feeling of this movie is really just like, okay, what are they going to do with that? 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 It's over. And they didn't do anything with anything. Mm-hmm. They start out, the movie is very fascinating. Like 1995, some guy goes missing in the woods. There's some weird sightings about it. And they believe that he's affected by this ancient like curse or something like that. It's like a Native American term, Native American curse. It's like the face of a wolf, and it's like, okay, this is interesting. They're taking it from a different angle. This is a new kind of thing. You know, some of this like Native American mythology horror stuff works pretty well. That's an interesting angle, and then they don't do anything really with it.
Especially since that's literally so it's not really spoiled. Like literally at the beginning of the film,
that is the first.
That is the
like,
scroll.
Minute. That's the first
the
thing
scroll.
you see.
The first thing you see the film is like the lore that's basing the film on, and then nothing really relates to that for the rest of the movie. I think that you're right. Like they had a different idea for this film. They didn't do anything with it. But
this film really should have been whatever the Native American term was. It should have been that, because it's not a Wolfman. It doesn't. And a lot of people.
It acts more like a Wendigo than it does a.
It acts more like a Wendigo. It acts more like this like whisperer in the night kind of thing, like this ancient creature that's in the woods that you would warn your children about if you were a nomadic people in the mountains. You would warn your children, don't leave camp. There's things, it'll eat you. But it's like they don't take advantage of that. They made it a Wolfman movie, and the graphics, like people already kind of like roasted the what the werewolves look like, and I was really hoping it was going to be like a Sonic thing where they're like misdirecting you on like they don't actually look like that. We're going to go with the more traditional Wolfman look. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun, and so the silhouettes you can kind of see like him doing like the underbite thing, and you're like, okay, they might do the actual classic.
Right.
But no, they are ugly as hell. They look worse than the thing that they showed at Universal Park. It actually looked worse than that thing. Mm-hmm. It's gross. It's gory on some points for no real reason. There's a lot of unsettling parts. The dynamic between the main characters is awful. It's atrocious. All the emotional moments that should hit don't, because oh yeah, that's right. They didn't establish why we should care about any of the people that get revealed to die. Mm-hmm. But they want you to feel it, and they play the music for it, and it doesn't matter. This movie's awful. 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 It's a 1.
Okay.
Do we want to go into spoilers?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. We're going to go into spoilers here. So if you're actually like interested in going to Wolfman, you might want to just stop here. But before you stop here, leave us a like. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about Wolfman 2025 after you've seen it?
And then run.
Otherwise, if you guys like these reviews and us talking about movies, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And share us with your friends if they like movies as well. Without further ado, though, we'll go into spoilers. 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 I cannot believe that it turns out, like, at the very climax of the movie, when he gets trapped in the bear trap, suddenly he looks over and he gets his absolute world rocked by Hugh Jackman dressed like Van Helsing.
And that moment when Lon Chaney came out and said, "You're not a werewolf, I am."
The dog walked out and they said, "Come on, Moose."
Oh, glory.
This movie's awful. So the main character and his wife, like, this is the biggest thing. The main character and his wife are clearly not going through a good part of their marriage, and he's kind of fixated on this whole "I have to protect my family." It's very clear that he loves his daughter but not his wife, and that's like a weird dynamic. And the thing is that they never really talk about it. They never really go and try to do anything to change it. There's not really any emotional moment where it's just like, "I protected myself and I put myself in this shell because of my insecurities. You were such a great dad. I feel like I'm not a great mom." There's a lot of things that could have happened and it just doesn't. He wants to be the protector of the family, and then 5 minutes after they show up in the mountains, he gets infected. So he's not actually like doing anything to protect his family.
No, he
because
becomes
he's
a werewolf
the threat.
so fast.
And then he can't communicate.
The clever parts of the film for me were where they have these moments where they're, I mean, part of the problem to this film too goes with this, but they do these scenes where he's like talking to them and yelling at his family like to help him, and they're just staring at him blankly, and you're just like, what is happening? But you realize that stuff isn't as it seems, and he's turning, and it's very clear he's turning a werewolf. Like, they don't really hide it. It's not even foreshadowing. Like, it's very blatant that that's what's happening. But the way they do it, though, is interesting. They make it look like he's still himself, but he's like, everybody around him speaking gibberish, and he can't talk to them, and he's like yelling at them like, "Why aren't you answering me?" And when it shows from their point of view, he's just like mumbling, and it's like showing back and forth, which is interesting. But it's about halfway through that, it stops showing anything from his point of view other than the coloration, and you just don't really know what's happening anymore. And I thought they were going with this idea that from his point of view, he's still normal, and he thinks they're crazy, and that's where, like, the werewolf in him is like, he starts attacking everyone else because he goes paranoid or he like can't communicate.
Well, he's trying to like protect his daughter or
right?
something.
But it turns out he actually or he kills the wife or attacks her to protect his daughter from her because he thinks she's the problem.
Yeah.
But no, he just becomes the monster thing, and then it just kind of stops dealing with that anymore. Well, it looks like it's going to do something with that.
And another thing, too, is that it's just like, even though he's like non-communicative, and they have these things where like his point of view is shifting, the way they sing things is shifting, and they're weird and unsettling, he still can look and identify his wife, and he can still look and identify his daughter, and he does multiple times identify his wife and daughter to not hurt them, and he does protect them in some cases. And then at the end, even though he can still identify his wife and daughter, goes and attacks them. And then the daughter, because she's a flippin' psychic for no reason.
She's not. It's a joke.
I know. And that's the thing, is it's a joke. But they take it, the wife takes it very seriously. When she's like, he wants it to end.
Yeah. That's just, he comes up over the thing and he's like puppy dog eyes. And I was making the thought that like, he's like, "No, family, it's okay. I'm actually still me. Like, I'm understand." And he's like, and then she goes, "Mom, he wants to die. Kill him. Shoot him, Mom. Shoot him." And then she goes, "Blam." And then it's like, he's like later, like, "I was trying to."
I was really hoping.
Be okay.
Here's what would have been great. He gets shot. They're all laying there. They're having this emotional moment. And then he gets a little bit, and he just goes, "Thanks for the bullet." Call back to Werewolf of London.
Oh, glory. Thanks for the bullet.
Thanks for the bullet.
You could tell they took from like several of the old wolf lore movies, but they didn't really do anything with any of the things
they
they
dipped
said.
their toe.
Yeah,
that was it.
There was the German Shepherd was definitely a nod to the original. The way that he goes down is very much like Werewolf of London.
Yeah.
There's
His foot getting trapped in the bear trap is literally Wolfman. That's like the only scene really in Wolfman.
The other thing about the Lon Chaney Wolfman is like his father is the one who kills him, and before he realizes who he is. So a family member having to kill the wolf, that's kind of part of that too. But it's not. The problem is it's not interesting. Like it keeps looking like you said it in the non-spoiler review. Like it looks like it's going to do something, and then it doesn't. That's what this Oh, look, they're gonna do this interesting thing with his vision. Nope, they don't. Oh, their dynamic is off. That might play a part in the whole wolf thing. Maybe him becoming the wolf, and like she has to, like Beauty and the Beast thing. Maybe like she has to learn to love him again as a monster in order. No, they don't do that. Okay, well maybe the family will learn something. Nope, nothing happens from that. It's like you don't do any, or the dad.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another big part. Okay, this was I was talking about this a little bit ago. The other side of the coin to this is I knew immediately that the dad was the werewolf and he was going to turn. Like it's just like doom. That made it so it was going to happen, and like you know it as soon as the werewolf's attack, it's like it's his dad. It's his dad. It's literally his dad. And then, it turns out the werewolf was his dad. And it's like, okay, that was obvious, but they don't do anything with it. They're like, oh my gosh, it was his dad the whole time.
Well, and it's also
all they do with it is, he gave it to his son. What?
But another thing, too, is he kills the dad when he's already turning into a werewolf, so he's non-communicative, and he's barely aware of, like, himself. So there's not really that moment, because he mentions earlier in the film, he's like, I never really got the chance to know my dad. I left when I was young. Mm-hmm. The first opportunity I had to leave, I did, and it was hard to keep hold of him because of where he was, and he was this weird guy. And I wish I knew him better. And then it's literally a thing of, like, he kills him while he's a werewolf, and there's not actually that moment of him being like...
That was another thing I thought they might do.
This is the actual end, the definitive end of this relation. No. There's nothing to do with that. There's no. They don't take opportunities for actual character developing moments
or closure.
And the other
there's foreshadowing they don't finish.
There's foreshadowing they don't finish. And another thing is that a lot of people really hate on films when they do like a lore dump. There's no lore. There's nothing to actually like. There's no meat. There's nothing where you can sit there and actually think about it. There's nothing that they actually like develop it a little bit. The whole movie takes place over the course of an evening.
Yeah.
Like, over the course of, like, 6 hours. 5 hours, 6 hours. And so, it moves very rapidly. It changes very rapidly. There's not really anything hooked into it. And a lot of these horror movies, when you mention something at the beginning that's, like, super, like, mythic, not a lot of people understand this mythos, there has to be a character in there that explains it, and it has to tie into things somehow. It feels very cheap because it honestly feels like they had people on staff because of Until Dawn, and they were like, well, we have people that can make kind of Wendigo things, and we have this ability, so we have these people. As long as we have these people, let's make another movie. And they went through and they're like, well, we don't want to do a Wendigo though, because Until Dawn is more like Wendigo based, so let's find another Native American creature. And then they found one that was like the face of the wolf, and they're like, oh, the face of the wolf, we own Wolfman, we're about to lose the copyright on it, we'll make it a Wolfman movie. And then, so this little tiny thin thread that connects what they actually were trying to do, make a movie for more money because it's cheaper because we have the people, and we own Wolfman. And they never really connect the dots. And they never really do anything with this, like, very interesting, definitely not a lot of people know about it, lore. Can we have some lore? Can we have something to think about? Can we have something like that? No.
The other thing I thought that they might do is the fact that he had this alternate reality he was living in that was like blue. They make it look too. It's kind of like when Frodo gets the ring in Lord of the Rings, where he goes like invisible, and everything around him is like all like kind of discolored, and like that's what it's like. He's like in an alternate world, looking at, especially when he looks at the wraiths, and they're like all like ghost people. That's kind of what he sees. It's like Frodo with the ring. He's seeing all his family like with like glowing eyes and like flowing, and that they like look kind of ghostly and weird. And I thought maybe like when his dad attacks, like him and his dad would have been like him and his dad were gonna have that conversation. Like he'd be normal and be like, "Oh my gosh, Dad, you can like we can talk, I can understand you." But they're actually it's just them as werewolves, like going like just like grunting at each other.
Well, they don't even grunt at each other.
No,
they
they immediately try to kill each other, and so it's like what was the point? They said the first half of the movie and the second half of the movie aren't the same movie. Like, oh look, here the only thing they do with the foreshadowing at the beginning is like they have this moment where they climb up into the deer blind to avoid the wolf, and then it's coming for him, and his dad saves him from the wolf, and then now he's the wolf attacking his family in the same deer blind. Like that was a little poetic, but other than that, why was the point of showing them having a bad relationship, or that he wasn't going to get to talk to his dad again, or any of that stuff when you're just going to kill him off? Like, what was the point? Why that doesn't do anything?
The plot.
There was, but that doesn't plot. It doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. Like,
no. The plot.
The reason I gave it a 5 and not like a lower score is because it does one thing it does well is tension, and all of that stuff we talked about only becomes a problem when the movie suddenly ends. All of this stuff at any time could have gotten a resolution. Literally up until the point, there was a moment where I thought the film was actually wrapping up when he leaves them and they're just stuck in the house, and then the power goes off and then it continues on. I thought maybe that was going to be the moment that they were going to have like some lore, or they're going to
look into it. They're going to find a library. They're going to find the notes. The dad was taking notes
when they were in the basement. When they went when she ran downstairs and like grabbed the stuff, and it was just the battery to go start the car. I thought she was going to go look for information because their dad lived out there, and she was going to find something, notes, anything, lore.
Well,
that would have been something. Just he picks up a notebook.
He picks up an old bookshelf to brace one of the doors. Literally just do the thing where he picks up the bookshelf and an old tome falls out of the bookcase, and the daughter thinks it's cool because that's weird.
I mean,
pictures.
It'd be tropey, but the whole film is tropey anyway.
It wasn't tropey. It was just I joke and say the plot because there wasn't one. It's literally the value of 0.
Well, no, all the film was like disjointed plot points that don't connect. There was a lot of tropiness, but none of it goes anywhere. I don't have a problem with tropes. Tropes are fine, but
tropes are fine.
But you did them without.
Tropes are fine as long as they do something good.
Yeah,
as long as you do it well.
The problem is it was tropes without plot, connecting it together, and so nothing happens. This is that moment where she like, you think they're gonna do something or learn something's gonna happen, and nothing happens. From that point to the end of the film, I'm like, wait, they're not gonna do anything, and then it continues and continues, and it almost turned into a Jurassic Park film where it's like them climbing away from monster trying to eat me,
right?
Which is not like, it turned from a surreal thriller kind of horror film where it's like you don't see the monster, they're afraid of it, but they know it's there, and it's like whacking on the doors and stuff, to they're literally on top of a greenhouse and it's like jumping and slashing at them like a raptor. I'm like, what the frick is this?
It has a knife sound effect whenever it slices something.
Yeah,
like a knife, like not like a it's like a shing sound effect. The other thing too is this, like, one thing is like
make any sense.
The film lost me at this point. Okay, this is actually when the film lost me. He's starting to turn into a little bit of a wolf creature thing. He's not very communicative. The wife has noticed that he's bleeding out of his arm. She takes off the bandage. He sees, makes eye contact with gaping wound in arm, begins to bite it and eat at it and eat his own arm in front of wife, who stares blankly. No words are spoken.
Which is very dog-like behavior. And you're like, well, that's odd.
So he does this thing like he's literally eating his own arm. And then she just sits there and stares at him as he walks calmly out of the room towards their young daughter. And she does nothing. And even after that point, because she didn't do anything after that, they left the house. He didn't make it back right away because he was attacking the other wolf creature thing. And instead of just accepting the fact that father is a creature of the night now, no, daughter goes, you need to let him in. This thing that tried to eat its own arm the moment
you left him out there. You're gonna let him die
him out there already.
right before the daughter tells her mom to kill him.
I think the daughter was sitting there and she was possessed by some spirit of the mountain. And she was just like, chaos.
Kill him, mother.
Kill him.
Kill him.
I loved him more than you and he's already dead. This will be really tragic in the orphanage. My origin story. It's coming along swimmingly. Oh, how tragic. Yes, mother, let him in and unarm yourself.
The daughter was such a consistent character until suddenly she's just like, kill him, Mom.
He wants it to end. And I literally turned to DJ. He says, he wants it to end. So do I.
Yeah, the point where he starts eating his own arm would have been a good point for her to like
have emotion.
Yeah, well, take the daughter down to the basement and like start looking at things, like anything, like
lock him away.
That would have been a
leave
clever
him
moment,
in that room.
But they don't. They don't do anything with him. Him turning into a wolf is pointless in the film, other than another scary thing to run from in Tragedy by Kill Husband.
Well, and
but it doesn't. When he gets shot, I'm just sitting there like, well, dang, that's cold, daughter.
He wants it to end, and then he just like, pow, end.
Like, I swear, he's sitting there like, I'm trying to communicate. I'm just trying to talk. Kill him, Mom. He wants to die. And he's like, wait, no, don't. And she's like, oh, finally, it's over.
It's at that point that under the blind came Frankenstein's monster. Dracula, he has a cure for the werewolf. He's got a cure. It's so bad. This movie is so bad.
Exposition sickle.
We needed the exposition sickle. Dracula, he has a cure for the werewolf. It's down the door to the left. It's down the hall to the left. Like, there's so much you could have done. Oh, you could have even done that. Okay, think about this. Just real fast. You could have done this. All right, ready? They go into the basement. They find the notes from the dad. The dad mentions the fact that he may have found a cure to werewolfism, and he seems to have tried to take it, but there's a great big risk. He was going to go back out for his friend who was left out in the woods, so we assume that maybe he died trying to get his friend after he cured werewolfism. And then it turns out, nope, the dad's dead and he's a werewolf, and the cure that we've tried to use on dad isn't working. Then he turns into a werewolf. Full bore.
The cure is like the finishing touch. The cure.
Well, no, like they find a cure in the basement. They see that he's starting to like show symptoms, and so they give him the cure, and it's like a temporary remedy.
Oh.
And they have incomplete notes because the dad went out to get his friend, or something.
I don't know.
There's anything would have been better. Anything.
I just wish they would have. I would have been fine with what they did if they closed it with something. Like, don't show me all these interesting things and then not close the movie out. Then close the movie out without closing any of those plot points you opened up,
or fleshing them out. Yeah.
Like you just. Oh, it's like you just burned the first 30 of the minutes with setup you're never going to use. Why is it even in the movie? Just start with a family driving to the house. You could have, if the movie started from the point where they're driving to the house, it would have worked as well if none of the rest of that was shown. Because it's just been like, oh, it just was the germ driving, and then they could have had a conversation in the car how they're going to empty out their dad's stuff because he died a few years ago, or recently got declared dead.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the movie could have been exactly the same, and it would have been the same feeling, because nothing before that point matters at all.
Nothing in the movie matters. This movie doesn't matter. Don't bother.
Yep. Nope. That's it.
Seriously. Yeah.
Nope. The movie doesn't matter. I'm out.
It's cold.
I'm done.
Anyway, I'm done with this too. I'm going to purge this from my memory, so I let it air out for 30 minutes, and this is going to be the end. The rest in peace. 2025's It. Thing. Monster creature thing. The thing with the weird face. You with the face. The movie.
Also, why is it bald? Why does it lose hair?
Because it's not a werewolf. Because they could make a Wendigo, but they couldn't make an actual werewolf.
Oh,
Anyway, thanks guys so much for watching and sticking with us. We do have this tendency where we talk a little bit longer about bad movies, so if you're wondering if a movie's good or not, do we take 5 minutes talking about it or 35? That's your good gauge. The longer we talk about it, the worse it is. Think about things that are worse than they actually are. Anyway, if you guys like this video, leave us a like. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What movies are you looking forward to this year? As we're going about the year, we might prioritize going to the ones that you guys are interested in going to, just because we like going to movies. We like talking about movies. Otherwise, we're continuing all of our different series, watching old movies, bad movies, yada yada yada. You guys know the deal, unless you haven't subscribed yet, in which case you will know the deal for sure. Share us with your friends if you haven't already. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Thanks for watching.